Gospel of July the 1st, 2015. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. When Jesus came to the territory of the Gadarenes, two demoniacs who were coming from the tombs met him. They were so savage that no one could travel by that road. They cried out, "What have you to do with us, Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the appointed time?" Some distance away a herd of many swine was feeding. The demons pleaded with him, "If you drive us out, send us into the herd of swine." And he said to them, "Go then." They came out and entered the swine, and the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the sea, where they drowned. The swineherds ran away, and when they came to the town they reported everything, including what happened to the demoniacs. Thereupon the whole town came out to meet Jesus, and when they saw him they begged him to leave their district. Gospel of the Lord, praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. We have this beautiful scene, very spectacular scene of the Gospel today of Matthew. We can imagine the Lord coming in the little boat with his disciples to a place that is new, to a place that is not part of the Jewish territory per se, because the place is full of swine, and no Jew could even have anyone, let alone eat it. They were considered very dirty, filthy. But the Lord heard the crying of those possessed. Nowadays, even though there are from time to time motion pictures about exorcisms and stuff, many people do not believe that there are demons. But demons are very real. When we start cursing, when we curse each other, when we start hating, especially when we start doing that all the more when we get away from God, when we allow hatred to dwell in our hearts, and we open wide an avenue for the demons to come in. Usually, possession starts with oppression. People start seeing all kinds of stuff. Dark shadows, to hear voices. That is a phenomena that is particular to those that abuse drugs, that use drugs. They lose their conscience. And also those who drink too much. Whenever you lose your conscience, you are allowing the demons to enter into your life. But when the oppression is going more and more, it might come all the way to possession. And that is also very, very hard for the possessed one, for the oppressed one, especially for the possessed, as we were reading on here. Because we can imagine how the devils harm the people where they dwell. They hate us, so they harm us. And no one heard the cries of these demoniacs except God. Why did Jesus land in that place in the first place? Because God wanted to free the demoniacs of the legion of devils. Take notice that the Lord never argues with the men. He just drives the demons out. So he has pity on those that have need of him. On the other hand, the cost. We see that whole town coming out because the 2,000 swine were drowned. And for them they were dear. They were expensive. And it bothered them quite a bit. They didn't care for the two men. They just didn't travel through that road near the tombs because they knew that those demoniacs were there and they were afraid of them, but they don't care for them. They just let them there to rot and die. But when the Lord came in to help those poor brothers and drove out the demons, and then it cost them the 2,000 swine, they came and met Jesus and begged him to go away. If that was the case, dear brothers, if one of our brothers needed the help, your help or my help, and it was to cost us money or time, would we behave like the Gadarenes and say to the Lord, go away, I don't want you? Many of us would, because we would rather have instant satisfaction. We would rather have the bird in the hand, the money in my pocket, than to be in grace and be in friendship with God. Be in friendship with God. It is only, look at that contrast, how God comes all the way to help those poor demoniacs, and how the hundreds perhaps of the neighbors didn't care for them. And when they costed, they begged the Lord to go away. Had they seized the opportunity because they were before the Lord to get to know Him, they would have come off much better than before. Because you see, God would never take away what we need. But when we reject God, we also many times reject His blessings, and we end up worse. Where do we stand? Where do we really stand? Today we have to ask ourselves, if it was to cost me to help my brother go into heaven, would I be willing to? Did you at least take some time, some of your precious time, to pray for others? Would you at least try to help someone because of God, for your own sake and the sake of the other? Think about it. We cannot live as islands, separated from everyone, and even think that I am an island, but I am connected somehow with God. The cross has two beams. One that goes up me with God, but another one that is me with the others. It has to have two beams, and we have to have the two relations. Love that comes from God to fill my heart, and with that love to be shared with all my brothers. If we try at least a little bit today, and a little bit tomorrow, and so on and so on, at least to pray for our brothers, especially those that we don't like, then we certainly will meet in heaven. God bless you all, brothers.